Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our weekly office hours today. This particular session is going to be focused on how to use AssetMule to book more meetings when you're doing outbound prospecting. I am super excited about this because, yes, we're going to talk strategically about outbound prospecting. We're all trying to improve this, improve buying experiences, conversion rates, the number of meetings that we book as SDRs focused on top of the funnel outbound, but also as AEs who are owning the prospecting part of the funnel as well. But we're going to be diving into AssetMule, of course, and showing you how to actually use the technology that we've been building. We've seen a lot of success with customers of ours or users increasing their conversion rates using the stuff we'll talk about here today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Justin. But if you do have any questions or comments, go ahead and comment on the comments area here, whether you're watching this on LinkedIn or on Twitter or X, whatever. I'm going to call it Twitter because I just can't get over it. It's kind of like Facebook. I don't call anything meta, right? Like it's still Facebook. But in any case, don't be shy. We're here to help. We're here to talk about this. Justin and I have been doing prospecting. We still do prospecting all the time. Of course, it's from a different perspective as founders, but we've done it as SDRs. We've done it from the perspective of training AEs and SDRs, both from a perspective of like account-based outbound to even high volume SMB and lower ACV type products. So ask away. If we're saying something that perhaps you don't agree with, challenge us. We'd love to have that discussion here. So Justin, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, awesome. Well, really excited to dive into this use case. It's interesting because this wasn't actually the original use case we intended for AssetMule, right? I think in our minds, we had thought that AssetMule and the assets that you can develop in this product would be used more for follow-up or like post-discovery call, post-demo, where you already have like a really good sense of what the buyer needs in their current situation, and you can sort of curate the right information and content for them in a very personalized way that they can then use to sell internally and create momentum throughout the sales process. And that's actually still a common use case for AssetMule. But what we started to see was this outbound use case start to emerge. We reached out to some of our customers that were using AssetMule for outbound to kind of get some insights into why they were using it for this particular purpose and what they were experiencing. And once we heard their perspective, I think it made a lot of sense, actually, right? Like, there's a lot of talk out there about outbound being dead, right? And that response rates are really low at this point, right? And that, pipeline is drying up and sales teams are missing their quota. And it makes a lot of sense because I think, over the last, let's say 5-10 years, there's been a lot of focus on automation when it comes to outbound, right? And with that, personalization and some of these other pieces have sort of taken a back seat. So we see a lot of people reaching out with minimally personalized emails and maybe a bunch of sort of PDF attachments. And although you can do that at massive volume and it becomes a numbers game, I guess, it's not the best buying experience. And as those numbers drop, it becomes pretty challenging for folks to be successful with outbound. So when we introduced AssetMule, I think a lot of our customers saw this as an opportunity to rise above the noise and stand out and deliver sort of a personalized and interactive experience that actually could book more meetings. And what we heard from one of our customers was that they were actually booking 1 in 3 meetings when they were able to get a prospect to view the asset that they sent them. And we'll talk about how we're helping them actually get them to view the asset, how we're driving traffic to the page now. But before we even had that, as people were landing on their page, they were booking 1 in 3 meetings. And that was pretty astonishing for us. And they had told us, before they were using the AssetMule assets, there was nowhere near that type of success. So that had us really, really interested in this use case, so much so that we really dug into the templates that they were using and some of the other templates that we were starting to see used and the analytics behind those templates and what was really driving that success. And that led us to actually build a set of templates in AssetMule that are designed based on these best practices. And that's exactly what I'll walk you guys through today. So without further ado, let me share my screen and we can actually dive into some of these templates and show the full workflow of how our customers are using AssetMule for outbound.
Awesome. And while Justin's pulling this up again, don't be shy. Go ahead and place your comments. This is a hot topic, right? Outbound, we all need to do it. It's not going away anytime soon. We need to figure out how to make it more impactful, efficient, and ultimately drive results.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that aren't familiar with AssetMule, as you might have seen, or we talked about a little bit earlier, the whole idea here is to create personalized, interactive sales assets without any designers or developer support. And you'll see when you log in a bunch of templates that you can build from. And these are the 3 templates that we've developed for outbound. Outbound with product video, and my favorite is the outbound with interactive demo, and that's the one that I'll be showing today. And I'm just going to copy this template so I can sort of step you through the various pieces. And at a very high level, we focused on sort of 4 key things that we've seen drive success from outbound when it comes to these assets. The first being personalization. So right at the get-go, you can see here that you have the ability to add your logo and your prospect's logo, and then the ability to add a personalized welcome message and video. And as you'll see, when you share this asset and there's that preview of the asset in the email, that's the first thing that they see. They immediately see this is personalized for them, and it drives interest and intrigue, right? So that's the first piece is personalization. From there, we share some customer logos. We can highlight the problem and the solution, that we're using to solve the problem. And then you'll see the next sort of theme here, which is interactivity. And what we've done in this template is given the ability to actually embed an interactive product demo right into the asset. So I think a lot of the times, one of the challenges is before even speaking to a SDR, buyers these days, they want to know what the product does. They want to get a feel for it. They want to see if it's worth their time spending the 30 minutes right on the call with the SDR. And what we're doing here is we're actually fronting the product. We're putting it right in the asset. So even before they jump on a call with a sales rep or an SDR, they can already take a tour of the product, get a feel for it, understand what value it provides and how it can fit into their workflow and their daily life. So that's the second piece here, which is interactivity. And you'll see some other areas of interactivity. The third piece to it, though, is social proof. And this is something we see with assets today, but that we've really leaned into here, highlighting some key metrics, highlighting some customer quotes here, and the ability, as you'll see in a moment, to pull in the right customer quotes, the right metrics based on that particular prospect that you're reaching out to is a key part of that. Again, more interactivity. So being able to give them more information that, again, they may want to explore before they even jump on a call, right? Browsing the website a little bit, learning about case studies and how customers are using the product, checking out the pricing. These are all common things that, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of companies hide, right? And not sort of almost gate right before somebody can speak to a rep. And I think using this as part of your outbound and putting that stuff up front is the new way in terms of buyer enablement. And then the final piece of this template here that we have is really focused on making it easy to convert that prospect, right? And what we do here is we actually embed the calendar right in the asset. So no more back and forth calendar ping pong or having to respond with some times. Now that prospect, if they're interested, if they like what they see, they can actually book a meeting directly from the asset itself. So it's really those 4 pieces that we've made sort of the crucial pieces of this outbound template: personalization, interactivity, social proof, and a focus on conversion. Now, this is the template that you can use in AssetMule. And again, it's based on those best practices that we're starting to see with the success of our customers. But to give you a sense of what it looks like when it's already completed, and then how you can share it with a prospect in a way that's going to drive engagement, I'm going to hop over to the team tab and actually show you guys the template that we're using for outbound at AssetMule. And it's based on that template. But now we've got some content in here. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an asset from this template. And I'm now going to personalize it for the prospect that I'm reaching out to. So I'm going to go through the full steps of how somebody would use this template. So let's say I'm reaching out to LinkedIn. That's my prospect. I can easily add their logo in here just by putting in their website URL and click Get Logo. And now I can just pull in that logo. It's already formatted. It's already ready to use. I can then add their name in here. Let's say I'm reaching out to Jane at LinkedIn. And maybe there's some tweaks I want to make to the messaging and so on. So I can do that as well. I can record a quick Loom video and just drop that in here to replace this placeholder. Just by putting in the URL here, right? Usually I like to keep these fairly short. It's just a one minute sort of like, hey, I saw some content on LinkedIn about how you guys are approaching outbound, and thought I'd reach out to share, how AssetMule is helping sales teams book more meetings by creating more personalized and interactive and engaging approaches to outbound. Something short like that. And then also maybe detailing a little bit of what's in the asset, right? That you'll see an interactive demo below, some links to some other content that you might be interested in. And if you want to check out a demo or discuss this in more detail, there's a calendar at the bottom. So generally like a minute long video. And then, yeah, some social proof in terms of the customers that we're supporting today. Again, a highlight of the problem that we're solving in this case. A little meta, but I'm talking about the problem of outbound here and how AssetMule and interactive sales assets are driving more engagement and ultimately booking more meetings when it comes to outbound. Then we've got that interactive demo again, that's right in the asset that before they even agree to jump on a call with me, they can take a tour of and get a feel for what AssetMule is all about. They can see those actual real metrics, right? And these are real things that we're seeing, 5 times more views than a PDF, 2 times the engagement, and 2 times the amount of meetings booked. And then a quote in here. And what's awesome about this, again, when it comes to personalization, is the ability to pull in the right quote based on who you're reaching out to. So if I was reaching out to a BDR leader, this is a great quote that I would want to use, right? But if I am going to reach out to maybe a product marketer that's supporting an SDR team with content for outbound, I can actually pull up our snippet library here of other quotes and choose the right one. And again, personalization is so key for outbound. Personalizing based on industry and persona in this case. So pulling in the right quote that's going to resonate with them. As you'll see here, what we are doing is including our website and our pricing in here. And then finally, as I mentioned previously, my calendar in here. So that's kind of, you'll see it's really, really quick to do this at scale. You're just really adding in the logo, maybe making some small edits to the welcome message, dropping in that 1 minute video. And then from there, maybe just swapping out a quote or something like that, and you're ready to go. In a minute or two, you have an asset that you're ready to use for outbound. Now, the next key piece is actually sharing this with your prospects because, as I mentioned, one of our customers, they're experiencing a 33% conversion rate when somebody views this page to book meetings. But how do we get them to view the page? So that's the key step that I'll show you now. So first of all, I'm going to give this a name. AssetMule for LinkedIn, and I'm going to go ahead and save that asset. Also, always good to preview the asset before you send it, just to make sure that everything looks good, everything's rendering properly here. But then when it comes to sharing, you've got 3 options here. And the one that I really like is there's, sharing with a link and a screenshot. But the one that we've really seen drive traffic to the page is this share link with animated screenshots. So what this allows you to do is if you click on that, it's copying it to your clipboard. And now whether you're reaching out on email or through one of your sales engagement platforms like Outreach or SalesLoft, you can drop in not only a link, but also that visual GIF, right? The scroll through of the asset. And what that does is it gives them this view of what you're sending them, right? Where they can see the personalized logo there. They can see their logo. They can see their name. They can see there's a video for them, right? And they can see a little bit of the content that's in there. This creates that sort of intrigue that will then drive them to check out the page. And let's actually do that. Let's see what it looks like from their perspective. So let's say I'm a prospect. I receive this. I click through to it. Now I see the page, right? AssetMule for LinkedIn. I see this message from me. Maybe I watch the video here. As I scroll through it, I see the interactive demo. I want to click through and really get a feel for the product. Looking at the quote and all that good stuff. Pricing information, maybe that's really interesting to me. So I click through to the pricing. And then let's say at the end, ultimately, I want to book a meeting. So I go ahead and either click on the calendar or I click this book a meeting button here. So the other key thing about outbound is being able to track, right? All these things that the buyer just did, not just that they opened the email or that they clicked on the link to view the asset, but actually what did they do on this page, right? What's resonating with them? So that's actually something that we enable. So if you go back to my email here, first of all, I have a email notification that just said, hey, somebody just viewed my asset, right? That I just sent them, the AssetMule for LinkedIn assets. So there's life on the other side. There's interest. There's a little buying signal here. But now if I click on this see all interactions, what I can actually see is a full timeline of all the actions they took on that page. They viewed the asset, they watched the video, they clicked through the interactive product demo embed, they checked out our pricing, and now they're either they've booked a meeting or they've clicked on that link and they're finding a time now. So I get this real-time understanding of what's going on that page. And what this does is two things. One is it really helps you prioritize the accounts that you're reaching out to, right? If nobody's viewing the asset, nobody's really interacting with it, maybe put that aside for now. Maybe there's no interest there, or for one reason or another, it's not resonating with them, or they're not interested in checking it out. But if you see something like this where, oh, the person's watching the video, they're checking out the interactive demo, they're exploring pricing, even if they didn't book the meeting, that warrants a follow-up, right? And maybe this can also, the second point is, maybe this can also give you an indication of what else to send them, right? Do you send them other interactive demos of other different use cases that might be interesting to them? Or, they checked out pricing, do you share some other relevant information to them, like an ROI calculator or something like that, that can help them understand not just how much they would pay for the solution, but what they can expect to get in return? Or, if you had some case studies embedded in your asset and you can see them clicking on those, maybe sending them other case studies or other formats of those case studies and so on. So that's the other piece here, is really getting an indication of what's resonating to drive your follow-up. And the final thing I'll just mention here, taking a step back, is looking at these metrics, right? And seeing, if you're a product marketer, which templates your sales team is using for outbound, which snippets they're using, what they're including in their outbound, and then ultimately how that's driving engagement with buyers will help you to refine these templates and optimize them and improve your conversion rate over time. So that's really the key here with the analytics. And that kind of concludes right at this point that walkthrough, that demo of the outbound use case. So I want to pause now for questions, and we can dive into anything in more detail, but gonna stop sharing my screen here and see if there are any questions.
And folks, as a reminder, if you do have any questions, I see there's almost 40 people tuning in. We really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about AssetMule, particularly around outbound prospecting. Go ahead and comment on the comment wall and provide feedback. If you don't agree with something, we'd love to hear that as well. If there's other things that you're seeing, or if you have any ideas that maybe we didn't point out, please let us know. A couple things I wanted to speak to. So I think that, Justin, as you know, given your experience as not only a product marketer, but also running sales teams, is we have these different ICPs, right, or market segments. And so if I'm a sales leader out there and I'm thinking about this and I'm going, all right, cool, but I have a tier one or maybe a strategic account segment or enterprise segment, I could see the justification for spending a little more time. Like, we, by the way, want to be the tool that allows you to do this in the easiest, quickest way. We all know as sales reps, if it's taking too long, what are we going to do? We ain't going to use it, right? Like, we're going to forget about it or whatever, right? So, we're very much focused on making it easy, but also on the buyer side, right? Ultimately, we should be buyer first, right? And so we're also creating this environment that allows you to have the most frictionless buyer experience, right? Or buyer hub. It's another concept we've been, really talking about. It's like that. What is that experience that your buyer can really engage with, even when you're not in the room? We've talked about multi-threading. There's been a lot of talk about, especially in these remote work environments, about the idea that a lot of that decision making, championing, purchasing, that kind of stuff is happening behind closed doors, right? Or now a lot on Slack and Teams and these sort of things. So, you know, if you think about this world from that perspective, you can absolutely create these experiences for that tier one enterprise type ICP or market segment or customer type that you're going after. But also, what are the versions that you can be able to set up for even lower tiered, right? Smaller ACV deals, these sort of things, right? And so if you have a tool that allows you to churn these things out, you don't have to constantly depend on someone else. Certainly, these are designers. We love designers. We love you all designers. I'm a wannabe designer at times, right? But the fact of the matter is, we need things that scale more. So that's one thing that I encourage us to think about, is as we're thinking about our strategies of using assets like this, like Asset Hub, to engage prospects in outbound. Maybe that enterprise tier you're going to spend a little more time on, because maybe you have named accounts, these sort of things. Or if you're doing account-based sales development, you might spend more time. But also on the SMB and the mid-market, right? Again, in those smaller ACV type deals, there is still an opportunity to create a better buying experience. So I wanted to point that out. The other thing is, personas, right? We also, a lot of the time, in what we would call like the old school world, send one generic asset to everybody. And as Justin mentioned, you now have an opportunity to literally, as Justin pointed out with the quotes, swap the quotes that are specific to your buyer personas, right? So it's not that mismatch anymore, but that also extends to videos that marketing has created, the interactive demos that we talked about. Shout out to all the demo providers out there like StoryLane, Navatic, Howdy Go. I mean, there's quite a few of you folks, Torio, Salio. I mean, the list goes on and on. Reprise, where I used to work. And so being able to create that experience where you can, as a sales rep, be able to pull these things in, because you know this persona. Hopefully you're a master at these personas, and you're sending them these experiences in outbound to really resonate. This is a new world. And then, of course, the signal-based stuff. We've been, again, talking about signal-based selling, right? And which is great, and we all understand the value there. But this is also now a way to actually compile those signals and understand who, as Justin mentioned, who you should be prioritizing and these sort of things, even outside of the initial outreach, right? Because as we know, if we're doing it right, our follow-up cadences or sequences or workflows, etc., should be providing value for a long time, right? We also nurture. We've talked about nurturing a lot in marketing. That's something we've been using for a long time, but there is a sales first nurturing strategy as well, right? As SDRs, as AEs, because your buyers might not be in the market at that point when you first reach out, but how do you continue to add value over time? And this is a really great way to be able to create that experience. So those are some of the things that came up as we were talking here, Justin.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that last one that you mentioned, the signal-based selling, is really, really interesting. Um, I actually have an example of this where when we launched AssetMule, we had a bunch of people that we did customer discovery with prior to launching the product that we wanted to give a discount to, and that you know, we sort of wanted to thank them with this discount opportunity, this limited time discount opportunity. And you know, there's some people that engaged with that. They were ready to use AssetMule. They were excited, and there are other people that, as George mentioned, the timing wasn't right. Like, they love the product, they love what we're doing, but they weren't really focused on sales enablement at the time, and so on. What was interesting is months later, right? I would still get these signals that, oh, this person now viewed this asset, or they're engaging again with it, right? And this happens so much in sales, right? It's so much, whether we like to admit it or not, we like to think of ourselves as like magical salespeople that can make deals happen no matter what. But the reality of this situation is timing has a lot to do with our success, right? That's out of our control. There's people that have budget cycles. There are people that have different projects that they're working on. And in the past, it's been a lot of spray and pray and continuing to hound the people that might not be in the right time, right, to buy, right? But now with these signals, as I mentioned, if you're not seeing that engagement from a particular prospect, maybe put them aside for a bit. Maybe do one more follow-up or two more follow-ups, but then put them aside for a bit if they're not engaging, right? But who knows, maybe 6 months later, you're going to start to see some engagement from that asset. And that's your trigger point to reach back out to them and engage them when they're in the moment, when what your solution and what you're providing is top of mind and something that they're looking to bring on board. So I think that's a really interesting angle to these types of assets that, again, are much more trackable than the static PDF that's probably going to get lost somewhere in a email archive folder and never be seen again.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, the re-engagement, because you should have re-engagement campaigns as
Yep.
an SDR team, as a sales team as well. And these are incredible, incredible opportunities or experiences to create. Imagine a world where you've been working a deal, right? So you have an established relationship, and then you also can follow up with an experience that not only is continuing to drive the results and value that you can provide as a solutions provider, but also educating, right, in various ways. There's all this content that marketing is creating, wonderful stuff, right? But how do we also integrate that into our sales motion in a way that's going to be effective? So just really great stuff. I know we have a couple minutes here. Again, as a reminder, folks, if you do have any questions, please let us know. Justin and I, outside of partnering as co-founders to build this business, again, we've been doing SDR outreach, running SDR teams. We've carried bags, we've operated sales teams, and then also Justin has spent a lot of time in product marketing, and myself in content and community the last couple of years. So if there's anything that we can provide in terms of insight or questions that we can answer, please let us know. I know we have a couple minutes here before we wrap up, but we're all about trying to share as much as we can around things that we've learned, but also learning from y'all, right? Because ultimately, things are constantly changing, and we are hungry for knowledge. So if you do have any insights, go ahead and post them. If you want to connect offline, let us know. We'd love to talk to y'all. Awesome. I think, Justin, maybe we'll go ahead and wrap up unless anyone else has any questions. I'll go ahead and check the comments. No comments, no questions. Hopefully that's a good sign here. Again, thank you so much to everyone who's taking the time out of their busy schedule here on a Wednesday to join our office hours. We're going to continue to dive into these different use cases based off of what we're seeing our users seeing success from, but also based off of what we're seeing just overall in the market and ways that we think that we can help you all as go-to-market teams be more successful. If you have not signed up to AssetMule, go ahead and check it out. It's totally free to use. We have a free plan that is going to be free forever. You can kick the tires on it, play with it with your sales team, or if you're on the marketing side and want to learn more about how to support your sales team with their outbound prospecting, and certainly other use cases, which we'll dive into in subsequent office hours. Check it out. Again, that's AssetMule.ai. If you are not following us on social, go ahead and click on that follow button. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Have a lot of videos on YouTube, so we love videos over here at AssetMule. And without further ado, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.